And for the business, who better than Kate Moody to join us? The US government seized more than $2 million that was paid as ransom following a cyber attack on a major oil pipeline last month. Kate, do explain more.
Well, the operators of the Colonial Pipeline decided to pay nearly $4.5 million back in May in order to resume control over its pipeline. That pipeline supplies nearly half the fuel consumed on the East Coast. Now, U.S. officials say they've been able to recover about half of that money, which was paid via cryptocurrency, by tracking the receiver's digital wallet. Now, experts and central banks have long warned that cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin are risky, in part because of their potential to be used in financial crimes like this one. The U.S. says the Colonial Pipeline was hacked by a criminal group called DarkSide, which has links to Russia, although Moscow denies any knowledge of it. The incident has put more pressure on both companies and governments to step up their cyber defenses.
Ransomware attacks have increased in both scope and sophistication in the last year, targeting our critical infrastructure, businesses of all types, whole cities, and even law enforcement. Ransomware and digital extortion pose a national security and an economic security threat to the United States.
Google has said it will change the way it operates its all-important advertising business in a settlement here in France, which also includes a fine of 220 million euros. It stems from a complaint made by media groups, including News Corporation and Le Figaro, who accused the online giant of effectively having a monopoly over online ad sales. The deal was agreed with French authorities, but could spark changes in Google's global business model, as Maria Sofos explains.
A landmark antitrust settlement with France's competition watchdog. It's one that for the first time has prompted tech giant Google to agree that it will make changes to its vast global advertising business, which is the source of most of its revenue. The aim is to ensure that it doesn't abuse its dominance and avoids undermining its competition in the ad market.
We've agreed on a set of commitments to make it easier for publishers to make use of data and use of our tools with other ad technologies. We'll be testing and developing these changes over the coming months before rolling them out more broadly, including some of them globally.
As part of the deal with the French Competition Authority, Google has also been fined 220 million euros. The FCA found that Google's ad management platform favoured the company's own online ad marketplace, Google AdX, where publishers sell space to advertisers. The head of the FCA said the decision was unprecedented in that it targeted the complex algorithmic auctions that power Google's online advertising business.
So this is the first decision in the world that really deals with how online advertising works for the display part of online advertising, which are all the different publicity that we see on websites and also on apps that you can use on your smartphone.
US tech giants have been facing intensified scrutiny in Europe and elsewhere over their business practices, with Germany the latest country to launch an investigation into Google.
Let's check in on the day's trading action now. A mixed session on Wall Street saw the tech-heavy Nasdaq closing slightly higher. Giants like Google, Apple, Amazon, and Facebook shrugging off this weekend's G7 agreement to fix a minimum corporate tax rate at about 15%. Shares of the drug maker Biogen soared 40% after U.S. authorities approved its new Alzheimer's treatment. Earlier, we saw a mostly higher close for the major European indices, just the Frankfurt DAX slightly in the red there. Investors already looking ahead to this week's meeting of the European Central Bank to see if it will adjust its monetary policy and COVID support in the face of higher inflation. For 2 years in a row, France has attracted more investment by foreign businesses than any other European economy. That's according to a new report published by consultancy firm EY. 985 new projects were launched here last year. That's down 18% from 2019 because of the pandemic. Still enough, though, to put France slightly ahead of the UK and Germany in those standings. President Emmanuel Macron welcomed the news in a tweet, saying there had been a concrete and positive impact on the French economy, including the creation of some 30,000 jobs. Earlier, I spoke to Pascal Cagni. He's the chairman of Business France and ambassador for international investment, about why companies are choosing to put down roots in France.
We talk about more than 40% of decrease overall of what is called the FDI worldwide, while France is only at a -18 and keep the leadership. For one reason is that what we did early on, we protect essentially our economy. We try to preserve the lives And we also try to protect and put a net of security around the economy. That's the reasons why we put a lot of guarantee loan for the companies, a lot of furlough, and all of that seems to pay off in the sense that we've got an amazing rebound of the economy, and that right now, when you look at the figures, the investors continue to vote with their feet and their checkbook and invest in the country.
Airline executives have issued a rare joint appeal for a travel corridor to be opened between the US and UK. The two countries have among the highest COVID vaccination rates in the world, but still have strict restrictions on transatlantic travelers. The US has blocked most non-citizens from traveling there, at least for leisure, since March of last year, while the UK currently requires a 2-week quarantine for American arrivals. But as Joe Biden and Boris Johnson prepare to meet at the G20 summit later this week, or the G7 summit rather later this week, representatives of the airline industry have urged the leaders to reconsider those travel rules. Take a listen.
The formation of a US-UK travel corridor would reopen the most valuable long-haul travel market for each of our countries and create significant economic benefits.
There's a risk if we don't open up that we don't get the economic recovery that we should be benefiting from after the vaccination program. So I think there's much more at stake here than a holiday. It's about trade, it's about visiting friends and relatives, and it's about getting back and doing business and re-employing people.
More than holidays, serious business there, certainly, involved in the travel industry.
Kate, thank you very much indeed. Kate Moody with all the business. Excellent.